the aftermarket gaskets. So the problem with the aftermarket gasket is, okay, we'll come back to this. Problem with the aftermarket gasket is it poses a little bit of a problem. So this transmission had that N minus 5. In a perfect world, it should have had 60 hundredths shim, but you add back into the shim for the gaskets, and it had about 30 hundredths gaskets. It had 2 gaskets, 2 15s, maybe a 15 and a 20, measured 0.30. Now, it should have had 0.90 for pinion shim. It did not. It had 0.60 from the factory. All right? So, in my opinion, it was 30 hundredths short because, in other words, it was not engaged into the ring gear far enough. If you, the way we pay attention to that is we go out to come in and come in to go out. What that means is, on the thrust side of the ring of pinion, your pattern moves opposite of the way you would think it would. So if you're not deep enough, you're hitting shallow on the nose of the pinion shaft. And if you're too deep, then you're hitting too hard on the heel of the pinion shaft. You with me? I haven't lost you? So if that is a failure from lack of oil, and I'm right, we are 30 hundredths too shallow, where would the wear be? Be shallow on the nose of the pinion, right? We'll look at that pinion. Tell me where the wear is. It's shallow on the nose. In other words,
where do they mark on your gear set these plus minus numbers?
Right on the nose of the pinion shaft.
Okay.
In fact, Tony, bring me that pinion shaft out.
Do they have numbers on the ring gear also?
Yes,
okay.
They're match numbers, and it shows you the backlash.
Okay.
Yeah. For instance, if you look here, 0.15, that's the backlash. 0.15 is the backlash. I'm not sure what that is. Match number would be 08411. So no, those are ones. Part number, so forth, and that's a 12 volt. Storage area. What's the difference between a 12 volt and a 12 volt? All right, here's the one that I think we're not going to bother trying to set it up because it's no good. But you see where the wear is? It's out on the nose. That would suggest it was too far this way, so it didn't have enough. You can test it for everything.
Can you get my glasses on here?
So I pretty much always find, we pretty much always find, when we do the math right out of the book, we get pretty darn close. And we're usually just 10 or 15 hundredths off of that when we go over for the setup. Now the interesting thing, we're going to show you 2 new ring pinions that John just brought in from Germany. They're Tandler. It's a different brand, and they're it really threw me the first time we saw them because they have completely different numbers on them for setup. So I was talking to John Bunin, and he really helped me. They are the ring gear is a little bit smaller, and the nose of the pinion is a little longer to get to the same setup, so we got to take that into account. And so once we did that, bingo, we were like 10 hundredths off the very first time we did it. So they're really great. They're Tandler, and John is going to show you a 728 ring of pinion. The normal one is a 731. 728 is going to be a little taller, kind of an overdrive. But using a 728 ring of pinion is kind of cool because it's going to move everything up. First gear, second gear, third gear, and all of that kind of thing. So that's going to be kind of cool. Now, what I want you to see here is, come look at this differential housing. What do you see? It's cracked. You see the crack? And it's cracked on both sides. That's a bad one. Sometimes we get them only on one side.
There's your crack tip.
Yeah. I finally got I've thrown them away for years and years and years. I got the crack. But see, it's not opened up yet.
Okay.
But you see it, right? Now, if you want to know what happens if you ignore that, go look at that card over there. You don't want to ignore that. Now, I have a theory. Yeah, here's a broken all the way through one. You don't have a choice. This is going to need a new ring pinion.
You think?
Wait a minute, that station wouldn't feed it.
No, it would not.
Does it help the shot piece when it gets a little further?
I think you just put new ones in.
Well,
Well, shopping the new one.
yeah.
The new one,
Or you, I mean, if you get one from a 36 horse and you,
no, I was just using Bruce. I have a theory. I think all of this, because of the ball bearings, moves around too much. I think one of the cool things about the tapered roll we're doing is everything is held. There's not going to be as much flex and stuff.
The barrel bearing is where? Is on one side?
Right, you'll see it in a minute. We'll walk in the other room and you'll see it. But this is a lot tighter, this whole thing. Now the other thing I want to show you is what happens when you turn the corner, and that's your spider gears. This is how you get. Okay, that's your spider gears. All of that's happening in there. Spider gears are how you can make it into a parking space. You ever watch a race car with a wooden block and just try to kind of go around the corner?
Yeah. You like the aftermarket limited slip?
I do. I like it a lot. We have one there to show you. But anyway, that's, and the fulcrum plates that the other gentleman about a minute ago, this is the movement that you get from the fulcrum plates. And the fulcrum plates you're going to be able to see in the other room also. We'll show you that. This is kind of primitive, you know, and that's why on a race car that's low and every rotation is doing this to the fulcrum plates. And look at that little bit slip in there. Look what happened to it. Welded. This is how this all works. Even the 12-volt version. Now the replacement one that you see carries a 741 part number, and it seems to me that the cover's about $800 and the housing's about $800. They're kind of expensive. That's why Jacques is kind of making this thing. We refer to Jacques as the mad scientist.
No, it was good. It was good.
So that's what your differential and everything looks like. Okay. And that's junk. And you see the gray color. This is a hardened piece, which probably contributes a little bit to this difficulty. But it's the same color as a crankshaft that breaks. Sometimes we're growing. Right, yeah.
He's trying not to listen.
But it's the same hardness, same strengthening process. But so far, that ring and pinion looks pretty good. We're going to see what that looks like.